Hi, my loves, and welcome to my YouTube channel. You're here with Yasamin Adibi, and I'm back. Your girl's back, and I'm going to fuse two topics that y'all are always asking me about together because they're related. One is stressful situations, and maybe even when you're feeling insecure, and the dark feminine, because both of those are connected. And stay here regardless of what your gender is. Because one of the universal laws that we are all existing underneath is the law of gender. Everything is feminine and masculine. You are a balance of both. So I feel as though it is my divine duty to reconnect everyone, the collective, back with their dark feminine. Everyone, okay? As an intuitive, as an alchemist, as an occultist, something that I've noticed with the age of Pisces the past 2,500 years is the concealment of the dark feminine or the hiding of the dark feminine. And what this looks like is dark feminine energy represents our desires, our personal power, our magnetism, our influence, our sexuality, our for me, it's purpose. When we tap into dark feminine energy, we really start to embody what's natural to us and what our greatest passions can be, right? Masculine energy, we all have it, is that ability to accomplish and to do and to be extroverted and to plant seeds and to physically exert our will, right? Feminine energy is to be receptive, to pull things in towards you, to listen, to emotionally process something, to practice patience. 2,500 years with the age of Pisces, dark feminine energy has been seen as something that is weak or seen as something that lacks power. When in actuality, when you tap into dark feminine energy and you strategize your emotions, when you tap into dark feminine energy and you take full control over your sexuality and you take full control over your power, you're invincible. And you have the confidence of like 1,000 gods in one. So if you're interested in accessing that part of yourself, stay here. And like if you want to drop into deeper dark feminine knowledge, I have a course that I will link down in the description. All right, so let's just get into this 4 steps, because I like the number 4, on how to become more confident using your dark feminine. And this up a little bit because we need to get a little bit more dark femme up in here. Okay. And I also kind of like the graininess of this camera. It's giving me cam girl circa 2012. Okay. So the first step is my strategist, like rebel fighter father and leader. Make yourself into a weapon. Become a weapon. Look sweet on the outside. Look like a sheep, but be a wolf on the inside. How do you do this? You have to weaponize what you're good at. Whether you are an intellectual, you're a feeler, you would naturally have beauty, naturally have wealth, you can be a really good networker. Whatever your thing is, weaponize it. Use it to your advantage, especially if people project fear onto you of that certain thing. They say you're too much, your outfits are too much. That's your power. They say that you're an overthinker. That's your power. They say that like you're too social. That's your power, right? They say that you are too sexual. That's your power. That's your dark feminine. Further and use the occults, specifically astrology, okay? Look to see where Pluto lands in your chart, what house, because that will ultimately tell you where your hidden truths, your hidden sources of influence are at, how you can influence a room without even doing anything. And I'm very, very big on like, how do we naturally just access our essence without trying so hard, right? Like the path of least resistance is something that I'm really, really interested in. Especially as people that are very like raised in cultures and traditions that tell us we have to prove or earn our way into things. But when you naturally just like have it, or you already are like such an A type personality, maybe your level 10 is what everyone else's 100 is at. So for me, accessing Plutonian energy has been a lifesaver and conserving of my energy. Okay. So to give you an example of how to become a weapon, how to sharpen your gifts, look to see where Pluto's in your chart. And I'm going to use my chart as an example. I have Pluto on my ascendant, like smack dab on my ascendant. I'm a Scorpio / Libra rising, depending if you're Vedic or tropical. And what this means is Pluto in my first house represents my physical body. Okay. When I walk into a space, my friend, for a long time, I let people weaponize my Plutonian energy against me. So they said I was too intimidating. So what did I do? I tried to like make myself more palpable and became a people pleaser and like didn't try to take up as much space and tried to share more of my gifts with people and more of my talents and my style. And I tried to take a lot of like these little wounded birds underneath my wing. And what happens is that then with Plutonian energy, because it is a very intoxicating energy and sometimes it gets enmeshed and it's really hard to find boundaries because it's like a black hole. Sometimes people will assume that that is their energy and then take it on as theirs, but it's not, because you can't sustain it if that is not your place. Okay? People could bite, but can they maintain the energy? And as a Pluto in the first house, I am a person that when people are next to me by proxy, they think or they believe that they can like handle that amount of whatever it is, power, experience, etc. Unless their chart is set and built up like that, great. But sometimes I feel as though like, oh, I could do that. That's easy. I could like move in those spiritual realms like that. I could be as psychic like that. I could do. And I'm like, okay, I've literally been raised in this. I was born into this chart. This has been years of me refining my religion and my sexuality and like my occult sciences and like influence and power. This has been a lifetime. I could teach you, I could share with you, but don't get it twisted. Okay, you're not Pluto in the first house unless you are. Then you know. If you know, you know. Okay. So that has been an experience for me. It has been to really witness. I come off intimidating to a lot of people and almost like the villain, right? And I've used that to my advantage to get things that I want, to push off energy that maybe is predatory and to naturally have predatory energy, but I'm just a little love bug on the inside. But start a fight, I'll finish it. Okay, just kidding. So that's the first step. Check to see where your Pluto's at, or weaponize your power, or whatever people project fear onto. That's your power. That's your gift. That's what you just get really good at naturally, and just go ham on it. Okay? Make yourself into a weapon. Then the second step that is very important is, in order to develop confidence and to tap into your dark feminine energy at the same time, you gotta do difficult shit. Okay? And why this is because you're learning how to train yourself in like impulse control, but also like you're training yourself around your emotions connected in like sticky situations. Okay? For example, when I was younger, I intuitively knew that I had an addictive personality that's very Plutonian in the first house. If you know, you know. I knew at a young age an addictive personality. So what I would do is every Lent, which is this ritual in Catholicism where you give up something for 40 days as a form of like spiritual cleansing, and you fast. I loved and I couldn't wait every single year to do this with my grandma, who was also a bruja, because I love the energy of seeing myself let go of an addiction. And this addiction could literally be like chips, or it could be like watching my favorite show. But I liked the sensations of watching myself like detach from something and tap back into like my self control and tap into my strategy, right? Because I was able to now strategize my time in a different way, and I didn't feel like I was captive to outside influences, but instead I really had to learn about my ability to feel connected, attracted, addicted to something, but then put a limit on it. Like my mother told me at a very young age, She was just like, once something's in your mind, it's it. It's a wrap. You're going to make it happen. No one can get in your way. No one can tell you what to do. Whatever you want, you are going to manifest, because she saw me give up meat at the age of 8 because of Lent. I liked the way I felt during Lent, and I was just like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm not going to eat meat. She's like, what? My Mexican mother. My Persian father was like, what? No more kebab. What? And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. And everybody in my family thought it was a phase. Fast forward 20 years. Vegan. It's not a phase. I like it. I like the way I feel. I like the discipline that comes with like being surrounded by something and me having full control over my choices and feeling very safe with my discipline, right? And that's very dark feminine, is like to be strategic, because then also if like I want to let loose and allow myself to like drink some mezcal or allow myself to like go out for a night, I allow myself to do that because I also trust that I have discipline to get myself back into a rhythm that's of my wellness. And I also like know that I have that balance and I have that control, because I literally can cut something out of my life so quickly. So I trust myself. I also trust myself that when I'm in a relationship and I'm like, it's a little bit like sex, drugs, rock and roll a little bit, I also trust myself that I will get myself out of it, right? But I'm also at an age where I don't need to do that anymore. So for me, doing hard, difficult things and abstaining from things has really built, not judge my dark feminine desires and what it is that I really like, but for me to really understand what's underneath it. Why did I want meat at that time, right? Like, why did I want those toxic connections? What was it, right? And so for me to go into those places and to really understand myself, and then to actually like detach from it and clear it out and be like, nope, but this is actually what I need. My wants, my needs, I need to understand what that is and get very intimate with myself. That builds up confidence, because then I start to trust myself. I'm like, oh, okay. So I would highly recommend creating a routine, a schedule that integrates challenging things for you to understand yourself and understand your impulses, and maybe even create boundaries between you and your impulses, right? So, like, let's say you are someone that really loves fashion, right? That's dark feminine energy. You like to study more of like the sensual nature of fashion, right? But let's say that deeper, darker desire is because you want to be a designer, right? And so you don't shame yourself because you're online, you're looking at all these things. Instead, what you do is like, okay, I have all this input, all this inspiration. Now let me go into my closet and start to play with like silhouettes. So now let me like start to go and create and do something with this and put some space between me and social media, right? But really creating more intimacy and more boundaries and doing the hard things of like separating yourself from social media and instead going out and acting on your creativity and understanding your desires, baby, you get so confident. So confident. You start to connect with yourself in like a richer way. You start to trust yourself and you start to have more intentional experiences with your desires that are coming up, because I truly feel everything that we do in this life is rooted from someplace inside of ourselves. And once we start to understand that as the creators of our lives, and we're not just haphazardly like being influenced by everyone else's and by our impulses, but we're really starting to like understand ourselves and get deeper with ourselves, this life is so juicy. And it's like, oh, that's why I've been like, my algorithm looks like this. Or like, that's why I've been attracting this type of person. Or that's why I've been so connected to this place in the world, right? It's not for nothing. There is nothing that is coincidence in this life. Everything is about alignment. It's divine alignment. And specifically, it could be your dark feminine alignment telling you where your power is at, telling you what you actually want to do. No shame, no judgment. Just understanding. Right? As long as it doesn't harm you or other people. Okay. Now, the third step is you have to find your coven. Okay, super important. Maybe you already have your coven and they support you and your delusions of power and success and like healthy fun, right? And living life and exploring your pleasure. Or maybe you have friends that are frenemies, or you have people that whisper fear into your dreams. that is you learning about your dark feminine energy and learning about your power. Because I ultimately feel when we have haters around us, that is like Plutonian energy of people projecting their fears onto you and trying to sabotage you and keep you from your power. So they're actually good. Once you understand what they're keeping you from, then they serve their purpose. It's now time to align with the coven that once you are in your purpose, you're in your power, you understand what it is, you lock in with those people because those people are going to be incredible confidants for you. Those people are going to make sure that you do not sleep on yourself or on your power. And usually those people are in their power. They're very comfortable with themselves and they're very focused in on themselves, right? And that comes with you also aligning with that type of energy and learning that there is no competition outside of yourself. You are the only thing that can get in your way, and everything that is for you is for you. Your partner, your purpose, like your health, your wealth, it is all for you. There is so many different realities that we could all be living, and you just have to get very dummy specific about what reality it is that you want to live in, and that is like a lifetime journey of doing. So when you are in that space and you're in alignment with the coven that is in that space, you could take over the fucking world. Are you kidding me? So don't settle. Don't settle for people that you kind of always have to like be weary about because maybe you feel like they're trying to sample your energy or they're trying to take from you or you're afraid to share yourself with them. Don't settle. There is community that wants to see you succeed, and it's just about you opening up your heart and being brave enough, like stand on business and stand on like feeling that you're worthy of having those people in your life and moving like that and having boundaries like that and not allowing any like sly shit move. Be like, we're not doing that. No people pleasing. We don't need to do that. No. Okay. And then the final step for building confidence using the dark feminine, one of my favorites, is confidence is not the loudest person in the room. It's usually the one that is the most quiet. It's usually the one that asks for time to think and to process things at a business meeting. It's usually the one that's not rushing. Why? Because you don't need to prove anything. You're not on anybody else's time schedule. But more importantly, and on an energetics level, confidence gives you time to really receive. And that's a dark feminine, right? Like, again, we've been raised in 2,500 years worth of like masculine do that's very successful. Even like the light feminine, the light masculine, where we're very extroverted, we're very communicative. But the dark feminine allows oneself to be quiet and to receive and to listen. That's why we're quiet, right? It's like we drop into ourselves to observe the room and to observe the characters in the room and to observe the needs and to observe the emotional responses, to observe and feel the vibes, right? And because we feel so safe in ourselves and so safe in our judgment and so safe in like our ways that we process things, we don't need to be loud. Instead, what my grandma would always tell me since I was a little girl, if you cannot elevate the conversation, you keep your mouth closed. And I feel like she told me this for a couple of reasons. One is because I'm a Gemini, and when I talk, I could just talk, and I lose a lot of energy, right? But also, a second thing is because she knew that I'm such an inquisitive person and I like to learn things and teach things. Sometimes I can waste time because I'll be sharing things with people that are like not ready for it, or I could just be learning things that are not true. So she helped me strategize my energy and strategize my words and my voice. And honestly, that has been one of the biggest power moves that I didn't know I was doing for a long time until I got older and I started hearing people talk about it. I was like, oh, thank you, Grandma. Like I remember being at Berkeley and like I would just be super quiet in my like discussion class the whole entire semester. Super quiet. Where sometimes it would get a little bit awkward because people are like having these conversations and they're brilliant. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. And I feel like people thought I was shy, but I wasn't shy. I was just observing and receiving and learning. And then when I would share my truth and I would share what I'm learning and what I'm processing, everyone would be like, mic drop. What? You know, like that's profound. That's deep. I've always gotten that my whole entire life. Like that's deep. And the reason why is I feel like because I can go that deep within myself and feel safe within myself, I then provide that experience for other people when I share that part of myself and I get vulnerable, right? And I start to express what I'm feeling on the inside. Everyone's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Didn't know we were going that deep. Didn't know we were I'm like, that's where we're going. So to feel comfortable to receive things and to be in your feminine and to not feel triggered, and also maybe like to feel your feelings and then to share what you're going through or what you observe, I feel like that's such a power move, and that speaks volumes of someone's level of internal confidence and not being external validation to say like good point, right? Or like yes, I'm thinking the same thing, but instead it's like, no, I just want to express myself because I feel like this is going to elevate the conversation or contribute something of value. And I want to provide value every single time I open up my mouth, right? Or we're just kicking and having so much fun. That's a different story. So, getting comfortable with silence, getting comfortable with processing your own feelings and learning what that looks like. And I feel like I might do a separate video on that, like emotional alchemy. Put in the comments if you want me to. But when you feel confident in how you emotionally process things, that's also a power move, right? Like telling someone at a business meeting, give me a day to think about this, right? Or let me process that for a second. Even like with conflict with anyone, right? It's just like not reacting in that moment, but actually being like, I'll get back to you at the end of the day, or maybe let's come back to this tomorrow. So that way I can provide this for me, right? Of course, we can co-regulate as a community 100%, but I also think there's a lot of power when you're able to provide that for yourself and you're able to like really learn why you're feeling this emotion and the strength and the power behind it. Like, I think that's just so sexy. That's so magnetic. So magnetic. I'm so like pull things in. You don't have to prove shit to nobody, right? Because like this is for me. I'm getting triggered because it's for me. I need to go inside and understand what this is about, right? So I pray this was helpful. I pray these 4 steps gave you something to like chew on and will inspire you to really like embody more of your dark feminine and to find the power in that and the confidence in that that is unshakable and it's not sourced from anywhere outside of yourself, because that ultimately is where confidence comes from. You could literally be in a room filled with the most successful, baddest people, but like nobody is you and no one can be your dark femme energy the way you can be. Okay?